Don't look for a role model. Just be a trailblazer, and there'll be others who would follow. And when you lay the road, then others will be able to follow you. Don't worry that there's no road ahead of you. You can make the road.
Gender equality continues to be a challenge for Korea. But education is one area in which men and women have relatively equal footing. Western education for women started in Korea 137 years ago when an American missionary took in one young Korean student. That grew into the world's largest women's research university, with studies that range from medicine to artificial intelligence. To talk about this development and more, our globalist today is Kim Eun-mee, president of Ewha Womans University.
You don't have to look for a role model to emulate. You can be a trailblazer and become a role model for future generations.
So, welcome President Kim to the Globalist. To be completely transparent, I am a graduate of Ewha Womans University. I also teach a class at Ewha Womans University. So you and I see each other at times on campus. It's really nice to see you off campus.
Thank you. It's very nice to be on Globalist. It's a real honor to be here with you.
Thank you for saying that. Now, just to start off on Ewha Womans University, we have 25,000 young women on campus. And people are really surprised. But it started with one Ewha student. Could you just sort of give us a short brief about how it became from 1 to 25,000?
Well, it's a really interesting story, I think. At the end of the 19th century, there was this Women's Foreign Missionary Society of the United Methodist and Episcopal Church in the United States. They decided to dispatch women missionaries around the world, and they picked Korea, and they picked Mrs. Meriscranton to be sent to Korea as the first missionary to Korea. But when she first came, she found that women really were not to be found on the streets or to spread the gospel. So she knew that she had to teach them first. So she asked permission from the Women's Foreign Missionary Society to start a school first. So that's how Ewha started, with one student.
And that was 137 years ago.
1886.
1886. That was a time when, you know, education, well, especially Western education for women, girls, was non-existent.
Not even traditional Korean or Joseon dynasty education was available to girls or women. It was under Confucian ideology, so women and girls were not really given a name. It's in Meriscranton's diary. She said, I found women and girls, but they didn't even have names. They had no place in society. Their place in the house was in the kitchen, taking care of the food, taking care of their children, but they had no social being, identity. So she really felt that they needed education first. So when they opened the school only for girls. Because remember, we were taught
Yes.
in the Confucian, dictums, boys and girls beyond the age of 7 could not be in the same room. So the only way to teach girls was to have an all-girls school. So that's why Ewha began with only girls.
Yeah.
And because there were not even schools for Korean girls in Korean traditional educational system, let alone a foreign Western education. So Korean parents were very hesitant to send their children to school.
How did that block be overcome? I mean, that must
The
have been a
first-
difficult hurdle.
Very difficult. The first official student was a sick girl. Her name, we understand, is 꽃님이. She was very sick. So the parents thought, they understood there were some doctors inside the compound. So they thought if they left the girl on the doorstep, maybe they would take her in and heal her. So the first student was a sick child who was left on the doorsteps, and she was brought in, was the first student. But she left a few months later when she was cured. But then the word spread, and we started receiving students. So we started with just one student.
Yeah. But starting with that one student, then after the many difficult hurdles, I'm sure that the missionaries and many teachers there overcame, then Ewha became a first for a number of different areas in women's education in Korea. How did that come about?
There are two very important teachings of our early missionary teachers. One is they made it very clear they didn't want to teach them to become good American women. They said, we want these girls to become good Korean women. One. Let's think about that for a minute.
Yeah, we're going to think about that. And what's two?
Two is, although they're women and they're limited in what they can do in Korean society now, we want them to have all kinds of academic fields open to them. No doors should be closed just because they're women. So we have fulfilled that mission in 1996 when we opened the first College of Engineering among all the women's colleges around the world in 1996. So we fulfilled that mission.
Going beyond what was considered studies for women, that would be right for women.
Yes.
But that first point you made about making sure we were educating women to be Korean women, not Western versions of women. How would that be translated into actually how you teach?
At Ewha?
Yeah, at Ewha.
In 1936, they built a very traditional Korean house for the home economics department at the time. They built this very traditional Korean house to teach students in the home economics department, and they were supposed to stay there for 1 whole month, learning the Korean customs of bowing, the whole bit of Korean culture, and even making Korean food, making Korean doenjang, gochujang, and in the wintertime they would be making kimchi. And we have photos of our early missionaries with their long dresses, kneeling down and making kimjang. And that epitomizes what they were trying to do. They're not just coming in, teaching these Korean girls to make, American pickles. They're trying to understand and what is unique about Korea and upholding that tradition and respecting their traditional culture.
Yeah, it's very unique now that I hear your explanation. And I think it is unique that these women missionaries were able to make their mark and really make such a sort of a deep decision about the impact they were going to make in Korea. Do you believe that had an impact on how Ewha and women's education really had an impact on Korea's overall development?
Well, I hope it did. It's certainly in a society that still has gender gap issues, gender inequality issues. The women who we train at Ewha are very independent. They've gone into many leadership positions. As I think you were alluded to alluding to earlier, we have produced many first women leaders in all fields, in academia, in legal fields, the first medical doctors, first in whatever field. Most of them have been trained and educated at Ewha. So we train trailblazers. They're not afraid of being the first. We say, well, if there isn't a road, just
Make one.
and be the trailblazer. And I like to tell my students, don't look for a role model. Just be a trailblazer, and there'll be others who would follow. And when you lay the road, then others will be able to follow you. Don't worry that there's no road ahead of you. You can make the road.
Ewha sends out thousands of young women into Korean society every year. But do you think that the first that Ewha has been able to do has really changed Korean society?
You know, I keep saying, I hope we did. It's really sad when I look at the global gender gap report that comes out. Last year, 2022, South Korea's global gender gap puts us at rank 99. Can you imagine any other indicator that comes out of our country that puts us at rank 99?
A lot of people don't understand why that's the case.
Well, it used to be that it was the pay gap that put us at such a low ranking, but last year it was the political empowerment that really put us that far. It's the women's representation in the National Assembly, women in high political offices, and so on that put us so low. And then second, it was the pay gap of men and women in managerial positions in business, and so on. So these have put us way down the totem pole, so we're beyond 100 in these areas. So in that sense, I'm sad that in spite of all our efforts for the last 137 years, we haven't been able to push that agenda far enough and make enough of a difference. But I think if it hadn't been for Ewha, even that 18% of women in the national parliament, that would be even lower. Even that small percentage of women in CEO, manager positions would be even lower, because we have produced the largest number of women CEOs. So I think we have made a difference, but not enough.
Not enough. And there have been some very institutional, legal movements and developments in this area.
Right.
I mean, there still seems to be not just the ranking,
Right.
but in terms of within society, there have been a lot of talk about conflicts
Right.
between men and women, especially young men and women.
Right.
Young men feeling that there is no gender discrimination, and they feel that they are being discriminated against.
Right.
Why is this happening?
I had given much thought to this issue because I'm at an all-women's university, and I feel like I have some social responsibility to think about this and give some suggestions about where do we get out of this, mess. And I think it's not just an issue that we should leave just to the youth to let them, sort this out. It's the whole society that needs to come together, see where the structural causes are, and see where the immediate causes that the young men feel that they were left out of the job market. We need to address why they feel so discriminated and see where the immediate causes are, and see where there's these acute inequalities that the young men feel, as well as what young women feel. Because the young women, they may enter a job because they do well at placement tests and so on, but the minute she enters the job, her chances of promotion falls flat. That her chance of going to directorship, even with only one guy in the same rank, falls dramatically, maybe because of her family issues or whatever. But it looks like when I look at various different career trajectories, young women's glass ceiling is still there.
Yeah. The systematic issues still have to be addressed. So as I said before, we're both Ewha graduates. For those many who don't know, what is it like to be an Ewha student on an Ewha campus with all girls? You know, right now 25,000 girls. But what is campus life like for an Ewha student?
It's really funny. When I first came to Ewha from high school, you know, all girls high school then, but it was very democratic. I was really shocked. The professors were seated at the same table as we were eating the same food. In high school, when we go on excursions, they were seated at a nicer table, eating nicer food, and so on. So we're very democratic, and we're all eating the same thing. So, hey, this is kind of nice, and we felt very equal. So that was very liberating. And the other thing was they kept asking us to dream big, dream high. You know, dream whatever you can be, and dared us that you can become anything you want. And we knew outside in society that wasn't really the case. When I came to school, everything outside was very dark. Family life was hard. The whole, you know, political scene was very difficult. But when I came to Ewha, we call it Ewha Dongsan, Ewha Garden.
The gardens, hills.
It felt like this is a nice, you know, haven.
Yeah, haven.
So it was nice sanctuary. You suddenly forgot about all the darkness and difficulties outside. So we felt we were protected, and giving you that hope was what Ewha did for us.
Yeah, I always tell people it's great because it's an environment where gender is off the table.
Right.
Where it's never, you can do this because you're a girl, or you can't do this because of a girl.
You don't think
it's
about
never, it's always, are you smart enough? Are you, you know, capable enough? Are you courageous enough? It's never about gender.
Right.
In a way, as you say, it was a little unrealistic because the real world outside the campus gates was not like that.
Right.
People outside of society, some people just didn't like Ewha graduates because they were so in their own world, brazen, and didn't follow, you know, the rules, the society's rules.
Right.
Was that what Ewha was supposed to do?
Well, you know, I think the reason why we were able to train, or why many of the Ewha graduates have become leaders, is because of that we really had a gender barrier-free education and training, which meant that we learned to do anything and everything, A to Z. There was no time for us to think about, is this a girl's job or boy's job? We just had to do it. Heavy lifting, fine, we just had to do it. And I think a leader, if you're aspiring to become a leader, you really have to know the whole gamut of the experience. So I think that was a great testing bed for us to do that. And I still think that's why Ewha continues to produce many leaders in many fields. And I'm still surprised that graduates still come to me and say, gee, I made #1 in this field. I'm the first soccer referee in Korea. I said, what? There were no women before you? And this is 2022. I'm surprised.
We're still surprised that there are still so many firsts to achieve.
Yes.
So did that, you know, allow you to, I mean, you've obviously entered a field that you were passionate about.
Yes.
And did that education allow you to really follow that trend? Would it have been maybe different if you had not been at Ewha?
I was, having grown up in the 1960s and 70s Korea and went to the United States for my graduate education, I challenged my professors in the United States. I said, in these big books about capitalism and democracy, you all said that if we have capitalist development, democracy comes naturally. In Korea, that wasn't happening in the 1970s. We could see remarkable capitalist economic development, but democracy or democratic development, political development wasn't happening. It was actually going backwards. So that was my research question in my study plan going to graduate school. I was very brazen, I think. I said, your theory books tells us that this is what ought to be. Korea isn't going that way. Please explain. This is what I want to learn from you. That's why I got a scholarship. So I went to the United States and did my master's and dissertation. It was a fabulous experience. And they took me very seriously and wanted to learn from Korea why their theory wasn't working. So it was a fun, it was a really enriching experience.
That's what I think all young people want to do, really be able to take their questions into the world and find answers
And
to
challenge.
them. Yeah, and challenge and find answers. Now you are the president of this university that you that educated you. But you go around and you meet a lot of state leaders and leaders from all aspects. And when you tell them you are from a all-women's university, I'm sure there's some misconceptions people have about women's universities.
Right.
What are the greatest misconceptions people have about women's universities?
I think worst misconception is they think 1880s, when we first began, it was really to protect women, and this was the only way we can educate women. So just opening the door of education for women, they think we're still like that. But as we just talked just a minute ago about providing that gender barrier-free education, empowering women, we have gone beyond protecting women. It is now a truly empowering space for women when the rest of society is not. So this is really empowering women for the world, for leadership, with a truly gender barrier-free education, and that's what I talk about. When I look at the Global Gender Gap report that I keep referring to, in the latest report is the 2022 report, it says it's going to take 132 more years to reach parity for gender gap. So I have another 132 years to have this university at least.
Yeah. And is that why, I see in the future and in the path that Ewha is taking, AI, artificial intelligence, very state-of-the-art,
Right.
future-looking industries. Are they areas? Where is Ewha's future?
Well, I was working at the United Nations on the 2019 global development. One of the most striking maps that I looked at is the digital gap that was along the same lines. Digital transformation, or the fourth industrial revolution as we know it, has exacerbated the digital divide. And take the COVID-19 on top of that, the gender gap in the digital divide has worsened. AI, these areas have become heavily male-dominated. Women have no place in there. And I feel very compelled to have more women in the STEM fields and AI. The problem with developing those algorithms, with other areas of gender inequality, you and I can make a difference and say, you need to change it, or you and I can go in and change the laws and other issues. But this is very difficult. You and I can't go and change the algorithm. Do you know how to do that? I just certainly don't. So unless you have more women, or unless you have more people who are gender sensitive, this issue has become very prominent in the United States with Google and other platforms where race and ethnicity became a very explosive issue. So we need to have more women, we need to have more people with different races and ethnicities working in AI, in the new high-tech fields in the fourth industrial revolution.
And a final point about the future of Ewha. I see on campus a lot more different nationalities.
Yes.
And women of various nationalities, race, on campus. Am I just noticing one part, or are more women around the world being attracted to what Ewha is offering?
It appears that way. More women are interested in coming to Ewha. I think our message has gone out more broadly. And in this day and age with internet and Korea becoming much more popular, with our popular culture and K everything, more young people are drawn to Korea and they're finding Ewha, and many young women are finding what Ewha stands for and our mission, and are very drawn to what we stand for in terms of gender equality, in terms of the depth and breadth of education and training that we try to provide. And we have made a big push for being a top-notch research university, and I think that also draws these highly qualified students.
So I see future of Ewha not just being a Korea institute, but a very
Global.
global, multinational, multicultural institute.
Yes.
So I hope to see that day come.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it comes sooner than later.
I hope so too. Thank you
you.
very much for being
Thank
on the
you.
show. And for me, that's it. I'll be back next week with another globalist who's putting Korea on the map. Son Jie out.